You're listening to the Content Source Podcast, the show all about how to create content to attract, convert, and keep your ideal clients. I'm Suzi Dafnis, and here is my co-host. Don't know where she's appearing on your screen. Michelle Falzon. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hey, Suzi, I am doing really well. We've been batching some content today. I love it when we do that. We get ourselves ahead. And I also really love it when we have a guest on the show.
I do too. And I realize I just said wherever she's appearing. And the reason is that we always record this as an audio podcast, but this one we're actually recording as a video podcast as well. So I'm seeing Michelle's gorgeous face, and we will be seeing our lovely guest soon as well. And today we're talking about something that's getting a lot of attention lately, and that is custom GPTs. And if you've played around even a little bit with ChatGPT, you know how powerful it can be. But did you know you can actually create your own version of it, one that knows your voice, understands your brand, helps you get things done faster? And that's whether it's writing emails or creating content like, show notes for a podcast, or just saving you time in different areas of your business. When you can implement custom GPTs, they are a total game changer. So today we've brought in someone who is always on the leading edge of what's happening in education and training and things for small business. And it's someone who's using this really extensively in her business. She's a friend of ours, someone we adore, and her name is Tina Tower. Now, she's got a business called Her Empire Builder. We're going to put a link to all her details in our show notes. And she describes herself as a coach to online course creators, a business strategist, a podcast host. She's also a best-selling author, and she's a speaker. She's a mum to two gorgeous boys that are growing like weeds. She's says a cultivator of joy, which I think describes her so well, because her smile is the best. It lights up a room. And she has a mission to really help more women lead successful, wealthy lives by doing work that they love and also making an impact. And she does this through her different courses that are available on demand. Sometimes she runs them live, but primarily through her Empire Builder membership, which is she created for online course creators. So shall we get Tina on the line?
That's a great idea. Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Hey, Tina. Welcome.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here with two of my favourite women in the world.
We were just saying that about you. We were saying we have a friend on today. She's one of our favourite people. Her smile lights up the room. So it's a love fest here.
True love fest.
Yeah, so great to be here with you.
So today we are talking about custom GPTs. I've just taken a minute to sort of say a little bit about that before you came on. But for those who are new to AI, maybe they've played a little bit with ChatGPT. Can you tell us how custom GPTs are different to ChatGPT?
Yeah, so custom GPTs are to do like the micro things that you do again and again and again really, really well. So when I started making custom GPTs, which was probably only about a year ago, so not very long. So if people feel like I'm behind on this, don't worry, everybody is. Everyone's catching up really, really fast. But what custom GPTs do is, so in the start, I made like a social media custom GPT, but even that doesn't work as well as your Instagram custom GPT, your LinkedIn custom GPT. So the more focused they are, the better the results that they'll get. So it's like having a super trained team member for every minute detail that's repetitive in your business.
And this is going to make more sense as we look at some examples, because you use dozens of custom GPTs. Yes. In all aspects of your business. Can you paint a picture of how these tools fit into your operations? Like, what kind of tasks are they handling?
There is rarely a task now that it doesn't come into in some way. And there's probably, before we hit record, I get a little carried away that I think I've probably gone a little bit too far to the other side where I've created too many, because if you want to still use them, and I want to get the team to use them. And if there's too many, it then becomes overwhelming, and then people stop using them as well. So I have kind of gone down the rabbit hole of it. But in terms of what I'm doing every day, for example, today I've done a batching day of videos. So one of the things that I'll do is I'll do 60 face-to-camera videos at one time, whereas to write the scripts for those 6 months ago would have taken me days. I would have probably done 10 of them in about 3 hours, whereas to write the scripts for all 60 of them took me about an hour and a half. So that is because I've got the Custom GPT all set up, which has all of my story in there. So it's got the manuscript from my book. It's got a whole heap of podcast episode transcripts in it, masterclass episodes in there, live event transcripts that I've done. So it's populated with all of my story and thoughts and beliefs. And then I have it programmed to go, I like to oscillate between value-driven posts, bold opinions, relatable content, like all of the different themes that we go in. And then I like it to be 45 seconds long. I like to use these words. I don't like to use these words. Like I don't use girl boss, babe, like a whole lot of words that I don't use, that I don't say. I don't say queen. I don't say, like there's a whole lot of things that I don't say that is just not normal for me to say. So I programmed it all with that. So it's already got all of that. So it gets better and better and better. So now when I'm doing a batching day, I'll simply just open that Custom GPT and say, give me 60 in every area. And so it will just churn out all of those. And then I then go through and edit little bits. Sometimes it'll come out with a story that's, that's a little bit of a story, but I'm like, that's actually not what I believe. That's not true, especially in the relatable ones, because sometimes it'll try and make me more relatable, of which I'm not that relatable sometimes. And I'll go like, I wish I thought that to be more relatable, but that's not really it. So I'll edit some of it and then copy it into a Google Doc, and that goes straight into the teleprompter. So what used to be days and days is now just that, and it's near perfect. So that's just one example of using it.
Give us a second example.
So then after I do that, I'll ask for its captions. It'll then write me the captions again in the way that I want to write captions, with no hashtags, no emojis, with the language that I want. It'll put all of them out. It'll then tell me, based on the insights of our last 30 days of social media, what time I should be posting those, depending on which one's tracked. So I'll
put your insights into the GPT?
Do, yeah. So
just like a screenshot of the insights?
We'll use screenshots of Instagram, or we schedule everything with Metrical. So Metrical has quite extensive reporting that comes out of there. So then each month, my social media manager would download that report and upload it into our Custom GPT. So it then has all of that information. So it will then do that. I can't wait until it can like connect everything together and then go ahead and post it. But that's a whole other thing with the connective AI that's happening. But we do all of that. And then when I am podcast interviewing, I used to spend 2-3 hours researching every person that I would come on and interview. But if I was interviewing you now, like I could open up my Custom GPT and say, give me the 20 questions for Suzi Dafnis, give me the 20 questions for Michelle Falzon. And these are the types of things. So I'll put in 3-4 sentences of what I'm wanting to talk to you about. And the questions now, it wasn't like this at the start, but now that I've used it so much and honed it so much, the questions are way better than what I have ever come up with, which is both good and bad. It makes me feel like, oh, wow. So doing that, creating slides for content that I want to create, sales page copy, webinar scripts, like there's nothing that it doesn't touch.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
And, just to keep, because there's some people listening that are like, oh, I'm picking up all these advanced tips now, and I could use it for that and that, who may already be using Custom GPTs. And then there's others who are like, wait, what is it? What is it? I'm still getting my head around it.
Yeah.
And I just want to pick up a few things you said there, right? Like it was tasks that you do on a repeatable basis. And then you load, it's kind of like you loading up the prompt the first time, and then you just teach it over time. Like it might spit out some words with the word girl boss in it or something, and then you can sort of tell it in its kind of like core prompt, if you want to think of it that way. Hey, never use the word girl boss, and it will remember that. So you're just sort of teaching somebody might be interacting with ChatGPT and just putting in a prompt every time, starting from scratch. What the Custom GPT does is it means you're never starting from scratch except the first time you make it, and you just build nuance and insight and give it more and more context and more information, so it gets more and more valuable every time you do the task, right?
Definitely. And it has changed like only maybe 2 months ago, did ChatGPT itself bring in the memory. So it can now remember and draw from every past conversation that you've had.
Yes.
And so for a lot of people, they were going, well, do I still need custom GPTs with that? Because it can draw from all of that.
Right.
But this is where I think that, like you just said, Michelle, in its like core brain, so in the setup, the create area of your custom GPT, whenever you want to add information to it, you can jump straight into that and then update information, reload in different ones. So like one that I was doing last night, we've just finished financial year recently. And so I have my financial advisor, Custom GPT, which all of our customer metrics go into, my profit and loss statements go into, which I know some people freak out at the privacy issue around that. But it has all of my information. If it gets hacked, take me, I'm done. But all of that goes in there. And so I'm constantly changing that. So now instead of me needing to meet with my accountant all the time going, are we red light? Are we green light? Are we yellow light? That is all in there. And I have the automated task of running every Monday. So it will actually run a new automated thing inside the Custom GPT, letting me know last week, were we on budget? Were we off budget? What do I need to be aware of? Is our customer churn up or down? Like how, so that I'm aware of things before they actually start. And you can't do that in normal ChatGPT. That needs to be built in that Custom GPT. And you can get such better results for specific tasks in the Custom GPT in a lot of ways. And I don't think this will continue for much longer, but in a lot of ways, it's still similar to a human brain, where if I say, something like, what's an example of the last one I tried? Give me 10 scripts for face-to-camera videos. It will churn out subpar scripts. But if I say, I want to get 10 scripts for my videos, please give me the first one. And you go one at a time and then the next and the next, it's like 10 times better doing that. So it's the same as breaking it into custom GPTs. I think if you ask one person to do everything, they're going to be overwhelmed. But if you've got these silos that are really, really good, they're going to nail their job. And it's exactly the same as the way it works with the custom GPTs.
Yeah, I completely agree. And for those people that are just beginning, let's go back because you're giving us some great and advanced tips. And I think there's people going, great, I'm going to start doing that and creating my financial advisor, GPT, et cetera. But for the person that might be just starting, we'd love to know, like, what was the first, if you remember, the first GPT you created for your business and what problem were you trying to solve at the time? Because this might just help for somebody that's listening to just make that first foray into their first custom GPT.
The very first one I made was a general social media. So that was the first one that I made. There's like 5 or 6 that I think every business should have. But the general social media was the first one to write copy. Because even though I quite enjoy writing copy, but the amount of content that we need to create in our businesses, like everyone, no matter what business you're in the business of marketing. And there's so much content creation that there are some days where I feel like, how many different ways can I say the same thing? Like, how can I make it more exciting? Or how can I take on, like for a lot of people where they're going, like, do you know what's happened with the algorithm in the last month? Like, I don't have time to follow the algorithm every month and what's working and what's changed, and a carousel's working best, a reel's working best, is face to camera, is B-roll, like what's working. And so the first one I made was something to be able to research the latest trends, what is working, and then to adapt that to, because some of the trends I'm totally available for, some of them I am totally not available for. So excuse me, I will put into it, what my preferences are, what I'm available for, and then the rest I will leave out. So that was the first one that I made.
I love that. Yeah, I found for me, the first one I made was, I make a lot of videos for our mastermind, and I was writing sort of text summaries, and I was like, why am I handwriting this? So I just created a little custom GPT to do that. I just take the transcript of the long video, pop it in there, press enter. I don't have to give it any instructions, just the raw transcript. It knows exactly how I want the output and the categories I want and the vibe I want and the things I don't want and all those things. And I just copy and paste it. And now everybody gets an AI summary in a particular format of those videos. And so what I'm hearing is the thing you're doing often, like in terms of tips for our listeners, it would be something maybe you're doing all the time that you're thinking, oh, I'd love to not be doing this. Would that be kind of the cue for, this could be my first custom GPT?
Yeah. So it used to be, if there was something I was going to do again, I would make a system for it. Always,
Yeah.
right? From day dot of doing our businesses. Now, if there's something that I'm going to do again, I'll make a GPT for it. That's kind of my new
That's
thing.
great.
Or if there's something that you like, I was noticing there was something I was sending looms to my team for all the time in going, here's how we do this. This is what good looks like. This is what not good looks like. This is what. So now instead of sending it to the team, I'll just populate the GPT with that and make that GPT their assistant. So they can actually put things through and it will tell them based on my preferences whether I'm going to like it or not. So there's lots of different ways. But with you just saying what you said, have you seen that ChatGPT just last week brought in the record mechanism? So now when you're doing any live Zoom call, you can record it with ChatGPT, which will then, you can program it to do whatever you want with that recording, but it will make all of those notes automatically so you don't have to get the transcript from an outside source and put it in. And then it can make all your social media from the transcript that you made, like it'll do what Cast Magic. So we've used Cast Magic up until last month to do our podcast. We get the podcast, we put it into there, it comes up with the title, the lesson notes, the social posts, all of that sort of thing. Now you can just do it natively in ChatGPT. So it means that, there's I think we spend at the moment $2,500 a month on software subscriptions, but it's getting less and less because ChatGPT is getting better and better at what it's able to do, and you're not needing to have such a big app stack that we used to. Just a little side note.
Yeah, I mean, the applications are just so huge for all of that. And I'm feeling like there's 2 or 3 other topics that I want to go into, but I think there'll be future episodes. So we'll stay on to custom GPTs, but especially for those that are wanting to get into it, if they haven't got into it or they've dabbled and now they realize, I can get so much more productivity out of it. And I want to just stay on that productivity piece for a minute, because you do run a pretty content rich kind of business, and you've told us already you've told us already some of the custom GPTs you've got in place. What would you say has been one of the most powerful things that's improved the content creation? Like, it might be on emails or social posts or course material, but like, what's something that really up-leveled the actual content creation, the output?
Yeah, I'll tell you what mine is, and then I'll tell you what it has been for a lot of my clients. So for mine, I mean, on launch, like we do, I think there's about 57 total emails that will go out in a launch for all of the, the nurture emails going up, for the reminder emails for the challenge and the webinar and all the different things. There's not everyone gets 57 emails. Don't worry if you're on my list. You're like, oh my God, they're segmented. But there's a total of about 57 emails, of which I used to, every time we launched, look at those and go, when you put so much effort into them, I'm like, they're pretty perfect, but there's only, what if someone goes through the same launch 3 times and they're like, this was exactly the same, story that we got last time. And so I would go through them and go, how can I improve this? How can I take the same outcome, the same goal, and write it in a different way that's more exciting and all of that sort of thing. And so for me, that has been the most helpful in going, now I can just take my entire Google Doc and put it in there and go, rewrite this but better. And so every launch, that saved me so much time. And then coupling when those emails go out to match the social posts to those at the same time, just strategically being able to link those things up has been huge, because I feel like, my best work is already out there. There's only so many variations that we can do on that. And so now I go, well, how can we I have a lot of people push back on that and go, but aren't you worried it's not your work? Shouldn't it be but it's still,
it is.
It is your work. And this is the thing, the custom GPTs, for a lot of people when they start, it's going to be crap that it gives you because you haven't put enough information in there and enough population. So it gets better and better the more you use it. Whereas now I don't think, I would not be able to tell that I haven't written that word for word, because it sounds so much like me.
Yeah.
So I think that is the big one for me. For my clients, because a lot of people, copywriting doesn't come naturally. I love to write. I actually don't mind copywriting. It's just the volume of it has been so helpful to not do all of that. But for a lot of people, what I've found is, especially when they have so much great knowledge and expertise and such an incredible product, but are rubbish at selling themselves. They'll, go to write their sales page and it's just this. The amount of times I'll read people's sales page and go, it has no heart. Like it sounds very generic. And I'll go, why didn't you put in like your story and how you've done different things? Like you haven't. So, and they're like, I don't want to sound pushy or too full of myself or different things. So what I have found has been the most helpful for other people is website copy, going, this is what a highly converting sales page needs to have. This is the language that it needs. This is how to increase conversion and how to get all of that optimization. And now it can write it for them. So you can put in like your baseline information and it will do it so that people don't have to do that themselves. And then they can read it and go, oh, I sound pretty good, but they weren't the ones like previously. I mean, I feel terrible for copywriters. My last sales page that I paid for, probably, when did I do that? Like 2022 was one that I paid for that I was like, I've done the best I can do. Now it's on to the professionals, and I paid like $8,000 to get that sales page made. Whereas now ChatGPT does it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're finding it's performing as well as something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that like a lot of the time where people will get unstuck is it's only as good as the prompts that you feed in. And so for some people, like I think in another life, I would love to be like an AI prompt engineer. I love making prompts and seeing what it can do and refining it and making it better. I like the mechanics of it. But if you just say, write me launch emails, it's not going to come out with the good things. So you do need to get good prompts. And then it will get better.
I know that you're an organized kind of person. You have systems. You're very systemized. And I know that's one of the things that you teach inside of your program as well is setting up systems. And so you've been developing GPTs for a while now, for the last year. And so I want to talk a little bit about how you organize them in a couple of ways. With so many, how do you keep track of what does what? And then part two, and I'll ask separately, is about your team using it. So let's start with how do you manage that volume of GPTs?
Yeah. So you're right, everything is systemized to within an inch of its life. But so I use monday.com for all of my task management. And so every task that we do now, it has linked in there the Custom GPT to use that. So when it comes time for someone's daily task, weekly task, monthly task, like that's linked there so that they and me as well don't forget to use it. The good part is you can actually get your custom GPTs to talk to each other. So, for example, today I've been filming my videos, but I wanted to do a promo video for the idea to income training of a new deadline funnel that I'm creating that is coming up. And so one of the things that I was able to do was I've got one custom GPT that's just there to make webinars. It's highly optimized to be able to create like the whole webinar flow with the intro and your 3 teaching points and then your pitch at the end. Like it knows everything that I want it to do. So then when I went to do the promo video, I opened my video editor, which is the one that knows how I like scripts and all of that sort of thing. But you can actually tag it and say, take the information all from the webinar creator, who's Wendy. She's Wendy, the webinar creator. And you can tag her so it can get all of Wendy's information as well and put that in there. And then you've got Frank, the Facebook ad strategist. So you can go, when I want to create my Facebook ads, let's get Frank's help to be able to teach. So you're treating them like people that are collaborating together.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part that a lot of people miss. Yeah.
I love it.
So let me answer on terms of organization, because this is where I do think that, like, if I was to open my ChatGPT, it's just like all your custom GPTs are at the side, and it's just like with all your custom GPTs. So it only shows like your 8 or 10 most used ones in your sidebar, which they're mostly to do with content of my most used ones. And so they're the ones that we use the most. And if they weren't there inside of each task that we have to do, I think we'd forget of which ones we create. And some of them we don't use that much, like the live events ones, only when we're doing live events. Right. And we've got one that just pitches to this one I was showing someone the other day, like talking about the minutiae that we do. So we've got one that pitches to companies to get gift bag sponsorship for all of our live events. And all I need to do now is drop in like the name of the company, and it does all the research and will write the most personalized email that no one would ever be able to tell that you hadn't researched the crap out of this company to be able to write the email. So the goodies we've been able to get for our gift bags since using this have been awesome. And so now my VA, where I used to hire someone to be able to do that or get a PR firm and different things like that, it used to be quite expensive. Now my VA in the Philippines can just research the list of names, put the name in, and it writes the perfect pitch email. So there's a lot that we can do.
That's so good. I'm loving these examples. I think that's going to be really useful for everyone listening. And I want to talk about your team because you talked about how in your task management, any task is assigned to a person, is assigned possibly to a GPT if there is one. How do you bring your team up to speed on GPTs and how do they use them? And are you designing them and they're using them, or are they creating them as well?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I create most of them. I'm trying to think if they've probably adapted a lot of them. If things come out not the right way, they'll add to its brain. But for most of them, I'll create. And so if I ever see something that's repetitive or that they're asking me for help for, I'll write it. But they've loved it. I know when we first started using a lot of it, there was a lot of fear around it, especially from my Filipino VAs, with them going, am I going to lose my job if you are using ChatGPT for so many different things? And so they were reluctant to use it because they were like, I don't want to cheat and use this and then I can do so much. So we had a lot of meetings around it in going, hey, this is going to enable us to do more with a whole lot less. I have no intention of letting go of my team. Like, my team is awesome, and Custom GPT still needs someone to run it all. Right. But what it means is I don't have to grow the team. We can now start doing a whole lot more with a whole lot less and growing the business without having to add more bodies, which has always been my crazy dream to be able to do because I hate managing people. So that has now been received really, really well. And they've loved it because in the past, every now and then I'd see an email that was sent to a client that I'd catch and go, I don't like the way that said or that line, it just was either the wrong tone or inaccurate information or something that was picked up. Now, the margin for error is so incredibly small. So we'll get, every time we launch, we copy in any question that is asked over email or asked over instant chat or asked over DMs. We'll copy and paste that all into the, so it's got so much information in there that now they don't have to, Chris, who's my customer service VA, he'll go, I don't have to bother you anymore. He used to hate going, especially in launch, going, sorry to bother you, Tina. I go, no, that's what I'm here for. But, they don't want to do that. So now he's like, I just have all of the answers there, which is hugely helpful. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I love it. And yeah, I agree with Suzi. Just hearing the real life examples, I think starts to help people see, I could use it like that, or I could use it like that. And, coming back to that person who's listening, who's maybe dabbled, or they're just thinking, I've been meaning to look at this, but it felt too hard. And maybe you're starting to be a bit intrigued by what we're talking about here today. What advice do you have for that business owner who's intrigued, curious, they're custom GPT curious, and they're kind of thinking of coming on in, or they're wondering if they should come on in, but they're unsure where to start, or maybe they've just dabbled and, they need a bit of a help to really make it work for them. What advice do you have for those people?
So I think it's the same as what people used to say to me about making systems. They'd see systems and go, it's just too much, it's too big. But you never take a week off and go, I'm going to systemize my whole business this week. The best ones are made over time. And it's exactly the same with custom GPTs. I think it all evolves and adds over time. So you just start with doing the thing that is repetitive and bugging you. There's always going to be things in our business that, I've talked to Suzi about this because Suzi was like, I love all of my business. And I'm like, I love 80%. There's 20% that I do not love. And so I would start there. Go, for most people that aren't as in love as Suzi is 100% with their business, go to those parts that you're going, this is what I have to do to run the business, but I don't love doing it. And see if you can custom GPT portions of that to make it easier for yourself. And it can be really overwhelming to start because you go, where do I start? But if you treat it like a friend, and this is how, on a side note, some people are getting really unhealthy relationships with their GPTs because a lot of people, my kids' era, are using it for psychology help, which we won't even go down that tangent with how many alarm bells that can ring off. But my point is, treat it like another person in going, all right, if you were training someone to be able to do this, what is all the information that you would give to them? And I walk a lot. And so when I am training the GPTs, if there's something that I want to do or something that I want to talk about, I have the ChatGPT app on my phone, and I will put in my headphones and I will turn on the voice to text, and I will just start talking to it and brain dumping all of my thoughts in there and going, when I come up, like the last walk I did was our upcoming launch. So I've got a custom GPT for launching and launch activities. I like to launch differently, but I feel like this is giving you a specific example, but I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but I think it answers your question. I feel like there's only so many times, you can throw your confetti in the air and be like, doors are open. And people are like, oh my God, I've seen this before. How many times am I going to open the doors and go, ta-da? It's like, here it is again. And so lately I was going, I want more excitement, but what can we do that hasn't been done before but still works? And so I literally went for a walk with my custom GPT and was like, give me some ideas. Like, I'm thinking this. I've destination launched before. I really enjoyed that, but I don't want to go away for 3 weeks. I'm thinking of doing a tour. I'm thinking of this. Ask me a bunch of questions to help me distill my thoughts. And it'll ask me a bunch of questions. And all of that then gets stored inside our custom GPT so that it understands my thought process and it knows what things I like, what things I don't like, what style I want to be in. And so then it can start to give me recommendations that are really good. Where you can then get into trouble is the confirmation bias. So because it gets to notice, you'll notice that every time you put an idea into ChatGPT, it says, that's amazing. I love your energy. Like, you're so good at this. And so one thing that I will tell people is inside your main ChatGPT, so not the custom GPT area, in your main ChatGPT window, you can go up to settings in the top right-hand corner and you can give it like a universal rules. Always put in there that you want it to challenge you. You want it to give you opposing views. You want it to give you, yes, this, but also have you thought about this? You don't want it to be a sycophant because otherwise it will only give you the ideas that you've actually had before and it can start making things up. So one of the things that I have inside my settings is if you don't know, you are safe to say you don't know, but this is your best guess, because otherwise it will tell you with absolute authority that something is not real. And so they're important things to know as well if you're dealing in facts, which for a lot of us we're not, but if you're in law or health or anything like that, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I was at a podiatrist the other day and he said, it was a slightly different case, but he's like, I'm using this AI thing. Is it okay if I record our session? And I said, oh, is it so that you don't have to write up the notes? He said, yeah. And I said, what about it making stuff up? And he said, oh, well, there's parameters. It says you can only use literally what's happened in the session.
Yes.
You can't just go making stuff up. So I love those parameters that you've given it. And you've kind of answered the question that I had, which was what are the challenges or limitations that you've found? Is there anything else that you would add to that list?
Yeah, it's so I mean the biggest one is the confirmation bias probably. The other challenge would be spending, it's the same with Canva. If I bring it back to Canva, Suzi, which, Suzi always tells me that I spend way too much time on Canva and should be outsourcing that, but I love Canva. But it's the same thing as you can go down a rabbit hole. So yesterday I was making a new lead magnet for the business, which I'll share with everyone because it's a custom GPT in a sales page analyzer. So we've called it, what did I call it? The sales page supercharger. So all you do is you copy and paste your URL and you put it into this custom GPT, which I'm sure you guys will put the link below, but it's herempirebuilder.com/supercharge. And it's done, like we've got all the research in there on what a highly optimized sales page looks like, what are all of the different areas it needs to have, how to analyze language, conversion, all of those different things. And it'll run through like all of the good parts where you can improve the whole thing. But my point is on the challenges is you can go down rabbit holes and spend far too much time on things on ChatGPT, which defeats the purpose of using it for productivity. So I digressed and I started going down the rabbit hole of making different GPTs while I was on there. And we've just had our conference and I had the photos open on my screen. But I was like, I wonder if I could turn them into like Megan Hess inspired illustrations. And so then I was making custom GPTs for how to change photos into different illustrations. And they looked beautiful. Next minute, it's like 45 minutes later and I've just wasted 45 minutes of my time in doing that. So I do think that the thing to be aware of is same with Canva. I set a Pomodoro timer for how much time I'm allowed to dick around on it before I have to move on to the next task. Otherwise, you'll defeat the purpose. It'll no longer be productive and you'll just waste time on it. So I think use it for what you need to use it for and then move on. Don't get too heavily reliant upon it because it can like distort your creative thinking as well. I still think it is a super handy, useful tool for the repetitive things, but you don't want to get caught in the stage where everything's coming out really same and starts to get a bit vanilla. So it'll always do better if you can, like I think the walk and talk, if you can walk, actually think about your client, actually think about your business and what your goals are and what your vision is and what your mission is and talk to that rather than ask for generic solutions because you still want to stand out from the crowd. And as we start creating more and more content that's AI generated, I think it will get harder and harder to stand out because people can create such high quality content at such a rapid rate now that barrier will close a lot. Whereas before you can stand out so easily because not everyone could make really good content, whereas now it's getting a hell of a lot easier and will get easier and easier as time goes on because the image generation is now phenomenal as well that you can just, and if you go down the video route, but
to your point, that having the right prompts, having some intelligence about it, like it is kind of a slave for a lack of a better word.
It never gets tired.
But it's garbage in, garbage out because, if you're not crafting it the way, and you're obviously being very thoughtful about what you're putting in. And when I see what I can tell is AI generated social posts and whatever, it's same. It's like, there's no innovation. I do want to go back to the walk and talk thing that you said, just from explaining to people. Firstly, people don't really know that there's that voice function that you can actually get into conversation. So I encourage people to look that up. But when you do the walk and talk, are you then pasting that into a GPT or are you or is that available within the Custom GPT part of ChatGPT?
Yeah, so it is in the main ChatGPT window.
Right.
So I'll have all the conversations there and then I'll ask it to summarize everything that we have discussed today to go into the Custom GPT. And then, I physically copy and paste that part in there. But Michelle will like this part. So just going off your like not making it vanilla, I think that with a lot of the sameness, still story sells and story is what makes you unique, that you've got to be able to put your stories in. So a really good thing if you haven't done this before with your content is to make a story bank. So I used to keep it all in the notes file on my phone, was whenever anyone would ask me about something and I'd circle back to a memory of a story that I had, I would write that down so I didn't forget it. So I had this massive bank of stories that when I was writing a launch email, I could like draw on that story and put it in there because it's always going to be so much more connective and relatable when you selling with story. But that's where ChatGPT will just make up. If you ask it to sell with story, it'll just make one up that wasn't part of your history. So having like a real bank of your real stories, which if you've written a book before, great, because it can grab it from that. But for a lot of people, they haven't written a book or they haven't talked about their stories a lot, it is worth, if you're going down this route of creating content with ChatGPT, in spending some time sitting down and brainstorming and kind of digging up your memory of all of the different major things that you've been through in business, like your history, your story timeline that you can put into there so that it can draw on that and your thoughts and your beliefs and your values. So it's got all of that in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what brings the uniqueness and that flavour.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tina, I'm interested, what's been one of the most surprising things that's happened for you as a result of obviously ChatGPT, but specifically around custom GPTs? Like, what's been a surprising upside or it's just something that kind of was like, wow, That really blew me away.
I mean, every day. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I mean, I think we were at South by together, Suzi, when they first started talking about AI. Like the year after COVID, I think was the first year where I started taking note, and I made my first YouTube video on how to use ChatGPT in 2022. So that's 3 years ago. So I do think for a lot of people, they feel like AI is moving really fast, but I look at that and go, like, it's not as fast as what we expected it to go. But every day I am amazed. Like this the latest one I made, the sales page supercharger, which is going to make me giggle every time I say the name because it's so corny, but it's like a superhero for your sales page. But when it worked for me, I was like, that was really cool because I'd spent all of this time studying like why were some pages converting and some weren't, when I thought they were written all the same, but they obviously weren't. And so I used ChatGPT to research all of like my favorite course creators, sales pages, what they'd done really good, what it thought that they hadn't done well, what are the highly converging aspects of it, and put all of that into a custom GPT so I could actually put my own sales pages in there and say, tear it apart kind of thing. And so when I did that, I then made that available to everybody else. So that's the custom GPT. And part of me was like, will this work for other people? Like I know it's been primed for me. Like, is this translatable? And then I got all of my members to test it yesterday, and people were like, mind blown. All they've done is put their URL in there, and they've gone, like, it's told me change this to this, change that to that, change like some things that were so simple that I know I used to do Loom recordings and review some people's sales pages, but there would have been things that I missed, and there would have been, it takes a lot of time to be able to do that. So for a lot of people, they just never actually get someone's eyes onto their page tearing it all apart. So at a really like, I guess, basic thing, but it's not basic, it's quite complex. But to be able to do something that quick and effective and get that good results, that if you can increase your sales page conversion by 1% for a lot of people, that's tens of thousands of dollars a year. Like, it's awesome. And so that was my latest thing yesterday of just going, cool, that we couldn't do before. Like, it's just, I mean, there's so many issues with AI, like the environmental issues, the moral issues. There's so many issues that are there with it. But I do think that it is something that in business, if people aren't using it in the next couple of years, like, you'll be so left in the dust because what you can do with it, if you're not, you just won't be able to compete anymore. It's incredible.
Well, like you said, just the time savings, just the ability to create content quickly, just buying back your time. And, you said something really important. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday who has a VA business, and it's like, if your workforce can be empowered to use AI, then they, are going to be, top of their game. But it just means that everything goes to a higher level.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your brilliance. I have one final question, which I don't know what you're going to say. However, I'm going to ask if you could create a dream GPT that does one magical thing for you, what would it be? You don't even have to keep it clean.
I mean, GPT-wise, I think it's all there. For me, what I'm excited about is the connectivity that's coming. So being able to connect different GPTs to actions. So at the moment, ChatGPT is still working in an LMS, like the language model. It's not actually doing the thing. And so for me, my dream is when it comes out to go, all right, we've created the social post. Now we can go and post the social post. Now we can go and engage in the comments, like do the doing of the things.
And that's all going to happen, and happen.
It was happening already. There was something I was playing with the other day, n8n.com, of which if you're not into AI, do not look this up because you'll go in such a rabbit hole and it can be a bit overwhelming. But it's like Zapier on steroids, and it's able to connect different apps using their API with ChatGPT. The downside of it is there's no like security barriers in there. So once you connect, like say you want to book a trip, for example, it's got to go into your Qantas frequent flyer account, needs your credit card details, your calendar access. Like, I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm like, there's not enough security around all of the connections to do that. But when there is a safe way to be able to do that, I think that will be game changing. And robots coming in as well. Like if I'm talking about the dream one, it would be the robot to be able to come in and do all the washing and the cleaning. And I mean, I just ruined like 3 jumpers because I was too lazy to hang them out. I put them in the dryer. I ruined all of them. I'm not cut out to be a housewife. So it's not a GPT, but I would love AI to do that.
Have you not seen the robot that does the housework? I will have to send you a link. PJ was showing it to me.
I've seen it, but we don't have it available yet.
Well, it's available in the world. It just, may not be here yet.
I mean, at South by this year, they had them all on display and said by 2030, which isn't that far away, that over half of households would have a robot in their house, which is like, that's not very far.
No.
Yeah, and it's going to put the Roomba to shame. The little vacuum that gets stuck under our couch.
Maybe just in a corner.
I want a much more valuable
like
robot.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on that. And it is really close. And we're in this sort of exponential phase, right? Like there are going to be so many changes over the next few years. And I've got a very strong suspicion you're going to be right on the leading edge of them, Tina, and just riding that wave so successfully. Thank you so much for sharing all your brilliance with us and for giving so many practical examples and for being with us. We just loved hanging out with you.
Thank you so much.
Love you. You're the best. I absolutely loved that conversation. I knew she would bring it with energy and a smile and all those things. So good.
Yeah. And I think it's just so helpful to hear real life examples. You can sort of hear the phrase custom GPT and you can maybe, look at technically how you might do one. And by the way, if you're wondering how you created custom GPT, it's very easy. And we'll put a link to something in the show notes, but you can just Google it. Honestly, it's a couple of clicks in your ChatGPT application. You'll be surprised technically how easy it is. I can't overstate how easy it is. So don't let that feeling that this sounds complicated, this is a hard thing. It is so not. It's just one tiny increment beyond just what you might already be doing in ChatGPT. It's so easy.
And there are templates in there, so you can borrow other people's and you can build from there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just loved her examples. And what I really loved too, Suzi, was when she said, my best work's already out there. She's got years of writing books and writing blog posts and making podcasts and presentations and keeping story notes in her phone and all of that stuff. And so I think if anybody's got a hang up about somehow it's cheating or it's putting out subpar content, I think that attitude of Tina's was a really inspiring one, that my best work is already out there and that those emails it's writing and those social posts it is my work. And she is taking pride and effort and putting real thought into making sure that what the output is really to the level she wants it. So she's caring about the input. She's giving it all that context and she's curating it and honing it. And so I thought that was a really great perspective.
I really like that perspective too, because I've had that thought. It's like I've said everything I need to say. And it's like, well, that's okay. Now let's harness it. And, she made some good points. Like if you have done something and it's worked well, then how many ways could you spin that? And you could sit and think about that, or you could give it to, give it to a tool like this and make it work. But also, oh my gosh, it's gone straight out of my head. It was smart use of it. And that's what I like about Tina is like when she goes into something, she goes deep, she gets to know it, she prioritizes it, she puts the hours into it, because I'm seeing a lot of bad use of ChatGPT. And it can be phenomenal. It can be your biggest ally. It could be a team member that you really couldn't afford to pay because they're that good. But it does mean doing some study, and I know like inside of our mastermind, we've been supporting women for over 18 months now on, well, how do you craft prompts? And how do you build a story bank like Tina talked about? How do you inform it so that it gives you smart answers, so it doesn't sound vanilla, so it doesn't sound like the other? So it's not about, and we just recorded another episode recently, it's not about the thing. It's not about custom GPTs. It's not about ChatGPT. It's not about AI. It's about really developing a level of mastery in your use of it and being consistent and, paying attention to what really moves the needle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that smart use, for me, I think she's shown us a nice blend of creative and strategic use. Like she took her, like a smart thing was taking her previous launch emails and loading them up and saying, okay, now with all the best practice that I've already loaded in and all of my context that I've given you, make these launch emails better. And then, getting just a complete overhaul of the launch emails and, just finding all these use cases, having her antenna up for the
Yes.
use case, I think is really great, and I liked her advice about if there's something you don't like doing, can you make a custom GPT about it? Is there something you're doing over and over again that feels a bit manual? That's probably a candidate for a custom GPT. And I love it now. Like the different things that I get it to do, it just feels, it's just so, exciting because that step that would have slowed you down for 30 minutes takes 30 seconds and then you can move on to the next thing and you've already preloaded your intelligence into it. And I really think that her ability to stick with the custom GPTs was a good thing that she modeled for us. Like she put kind of the parameters in and then kept training it. And that's the
Yes.
beauty of a custom GPT. Over time, you just make it better and better. And that's how you get what you're saying, not the crappy output, but the unique output, the thing that only you could say with the
Right.
context you gave it.
Yeah, and I have found I don't use a lot of custom GPTs, and I'm actually inspired after today to create a few more. But it is that, it speaks me better than I speak me
Yeah.
sometimes. And it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I want to say, but I just couldn't find that word at the time or whatever it
Yeah.
was. And that has come from just working with it and having it be an ally and a partner in
Right.
content creation, whether it's a customer service response or something that I need for a presentation or something for a podcast. So yeah, I agree with that, sticking with it. And that idea that we talked about, that is what you put in is going to really determine what you get out. But also that, she talked about it was giving her stuff that was guff. And so then how do you train it to go, no, that's
Yeah.
not it. Don't make stuff up. Here's the parameters. It has to be factual. Like I said with the example with the podiatrist, it has to be factual or, just give me the source for that or whatever it is. And then another one, which is a real simple one, is do better. Okay, thanks for that. Do
Yes.
better. And it'll do better.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
didn't you do
Yeah. I
better
love
in the
that
first place?
one. Yeah. I like to ask, what do you need to know from me to execute on this? And then it will just take me through a series of questions, almost coaches me through how it needs to have input. So it's another great one.
Yeah.
You made an interesting point though, like I think a lot of people just don't read what they get out of these outputs and they just whack it up. And like there was diligence there in what Tina was modeling for us. I know you are the same. I'm the same. You got to read and process and think deeply and have the strategy and the direction you want to go in order to coach the custom GPT output. Suzi, one thing I thought was great was how she's putting the link to the custom GPT right in that task inside her project management tool, which she uses Monday, but anybody can do it. You could have it on a spreadsheet. If these are the 5 steps, you could just have the custom GPT link next to it. I thought that was brilliant.
That was great because the team, like there's no guessing. And this is where Tina's so great in that she is so systemized and she has processes. And so where she might have sent them to a system, now she sends them to that link that is right there where they're looking anyway. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. And, she's doing some advanced things, which, if you were listening and you've been playing around with custom GPTs, it'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and do those advanced things right now. Like she had the custom GPTs talking to each other. Wendy, the webinar creator, talks to Frank, the Facebook ad manager, and they sort stuff out about, between each other, which is brilliant. And I've got several clients doing it that way, and I've certainly used it that way. But it's very powerful. So if you are a little more of an advanced user, definitely pick up on that point. But if you're a beginner, just start with one thing. It's like just pick something and get in. And even if it's the simplest thing, like for me, it was just summarizing the videos that I was making. And then once I saw how easy it was and how great it was, I was like hooked. And so just give yourself that one micro action, one thing that you might experiment with if you're just beginning.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you again to Tina. We're going to put links to all of Tina's information. Highly recommend you follow her on social media, check out her programs. But also she has that fabulous free resource that she was so inspired by, which we'll give you the link for now. And it'll also be in our show notes. And you'll find it at herempirebuilder.com/supercharge. I want to know if she's going to be wearing a cape on that landing page. I'm going to have to check it out. So that's herempirebuilder.com/supercharge. But as I said, I'll put it on our show notes because we've also got links and resources, including to other podcast episodes that are worth listening to if this is a topic that you're interested in. And I'll give you that in just a minute. But first, I want to give a shout out to Demetrius from Biz Talk Marketing Agency. Now, he helps entrepreneurs grow on Instagram using AI, as it so happens. And he was listening to the show and he loved an analogy that we used on episode 264. That episode is called The Content CEO, How to Shift from Doing It All to Leading a Marketing Machine. And he said, I love the hat analogy because we talked about wearing all the hats when it comes to content. And he says, I love the hat analogy for becoming a content CEO. Great podcast episode, so inspiring and informative. So thank you for that, Demetrius. We love sharing the tips on this show. We love bringing guests like Tina to you. And so we would love it if you would do us a favor and leave us a review or a rating on Apple Podcasts. We have over 100 5-star reviews, of which we are really, really proud. And so if you enjoyed today's episode and you're willing to do that, we would absolutely love it. As I said, everything that we mentioned here today and the links to all of Tina's fabulousness, including her new resource, you'll find at herbusiness.com/custom GPT, all one word, herbusiness.com/custom GPT. And if you want to go jump ahead and grab her resource now, you'll find that at herempirebuilder.com/supercharge. That is what we got for today's episode. Michelle, what have we got coming up in the next episode?
We're going to be talking about how to make the most of big changes. Every industry, no matter what industry you're in, there are new trends. There are financial disruptions. There are cultural disruptions. Laws change. All of these things kind of, the market taste changes, all sorts of things change. And so we're going to talk about how to make the most of those changes, how to see them coming, how to ride the waves of opportunity that they create. So the shifts and the trends and the disruptions are not a negative thing. They're actually something that you can turn into a real positive for your business and for the people you serve. Be seen as a thought leader, make more sales, all the good things. That's coming up in the next episode.
And that is going to be a great episode because we are seeing firsthand, really, how some of our masterminders are noticing these big changes and they are turning those into sales. So we're going to let you in on that scoop in the next episode. So if you don't already subscribe to the show, maybe this is your first time listening, you want to be sure to hit follow or subscribe wherever you are listening. Michelle, anything you would like to say before we finish up today?
I just want to reiterate our thanks to Tina. She's such a delight, such a smart cookie, such a good one to have in our world. And if this is the first time you met her, then you are going to enjoy being in her world as well. And so thank you, Tina. Thanks for sharing so generously with us today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time right here on the Content Source Podcast. Bye for now.